Illinois is one of dozens of states that have adopted the controversial Common Core education standards. The federal initiative establishes what proponents insist are clear expectations for what students should learn in English, language arts, and math at each grade level.
These standards are, in some communities, they're lower standards than existing ones, and that's one of the problems with Common Core, is that it robs communities of the right to be in charge of their standards and eventually their curricula. Common Core standards were established to ensure that kids were college ready for community colleges, not for the highest achieving or elite colleges or even sort of mid-level colleges, but for community colleges.
Like elsewhere around the nation, opposition to Common Core is ramping up in Illinois.
What the Common Core has managed to do is to unite people on the political left and right in opposition to Common Core, and opposition is growing.
Lori Higgins, cultural analyst for the Illinois Family Institute, notes that even the Chicago Teachers Union is joining conservatives in opposition to the top-down education standards.
The ideology of the left, particularly in English and eventually social studies, is going to be felt. And people should know there are already next generation science standards. So right now we have English and math, federal in effect standards. Next is going to come the science standards. And in fact, there is an organization, it's actually a coalition of very, very left-wing organizations that have created the National Sexuality Education Standards, which are, in effect, Common Core standards for sex ed.
Resolutions introduced in the General Assembly urge the State Board of Education to delay full implementation of Common Core and request that the board and legislature work together to create a viable plan to provide funding to school districts that need improvements to comply with Common Core standards.
Parents need to start expressing this to their lawmakers, to their school boards, sending letters to local press and saying we want out of Common Core, we want to control our standards and our testing and our curricula at the local level.
Meantime, 14th District U.S. Representative Randall Haltgren says Common Core is an overreach in our nation's schools, and its standards are not as rigorous as they need to be.
The Common Core threatens the control of local communities and parents over their children's education.
The Republican lawmaker is the co-sponsor of a resolution in Congress that would help protect state and local autonomy over decisions in classroom.
President Obama and the Department of Education have been using federal funds, your taxpayer dollars, and waivers to push states to adopt the national standards. It was truly a bait and switch, as struggling states jumped at federal government promises but were given centralized education in return. As a parent who knows each child is unique and learns in their own way, I reject this one-size-fits-all approach to education policy. Each parent needs to do what's in their child's best interest. Each teacher and school district needs the flexibility to develop their own curriculum to fit their students' specific needs. Unfortunately, when the federal government dangles race-to-the-top grants and No Child Left Behind waivers to lure states into adopting national education standards, local control over education weakens.
And Scott Woodruff, senior counsel for the Homeschool Legal Defense Association, says Common Core is not only bad for public schools, it poses a danger to home educators and faith-based schools. IllinoisFamily.org News spoke with Mr. Woodruff during the recent Illinois Christian Home Educators Convention at Calvary Church in Naperville.
Why should homeschool parents and parents who send their kids to Christian private schools be concerned about Common Core? Won't their kids be immune from this?
You have to not only look at where we are now, you have to look at the direction in which we're heading and the speed at which we're going there. So where we are right now, it's totally correct that homeschoolers can decide exactly what they want their kids to learn. But if education policy becomes centralized in Washington, D.C., it's probably only a matter of time until some bureaucrat in Washington says that nobody can issue a high school diploma unless it included Common Core, or no one can go to college unless their curriculum included Common Core, or even get a job. For example, in Iowa, a year and a half ago, a bill passed the House of Representatives creating a commission, one responsibility of which would be to encourage businesses to give hiring preferences for students who've had a Common Core type curriculum.
So if you want a job in the future, or maybe a college scholarship, you better have Common Core in your history.
That is a realistic possibility. Of course, no one's actually proposing that right now, but if you understand the way society works and understand the way politicians think and their love for concentrating power and controlling things, that's the direction it's heading. And that's one reason HSLDA is fighting Common Core vigorously.
If I'm a parent watching this, what can I do to stop Common Core?
Here's something every parent everywhere in America can do. Call your U.S. representative and say, please stop funding Common Core. Because all the money comes from Washington and the money control starts in the House. So today, tomorrow, Monday, you can call and say, please stop funding Common Core. Because once you take away the punch bowl, the entire house of cards collapse.
Scott Woodruff with the Homeschool Legal Defense Association. For more Illinois Family Institute news, subscribe to our YouTube channel. For IllinoisFamily.org News, I'm Monty Larrick.
This has been brought to you by the Illinois Family Institute, promoting marriage, family, life, and liberty in the land of Lincoln. For more information, go to IllinoisFamily.org.